This is Kerry Shamblin with the July 2021 Astrological Forecast. Calculations are done using the Chitra Paksha Ayanamsha, the mean node, and on the basis of the sidereal zodiac. Timings are based on Mountain Time Zone, US. A written version of this forecast is available at my website, planetaryinfluence.com. Mercury transits Gemini from July 7th through the 25th. After a rather juicy retrograde cycle that involved Mercury in the eclipse axis, feeling pushed strongly by nearby Rahu, Mercury's energy could be smoothing out and refocusing. After the direct motion of June 22nd, Mercury moves through the third decan of Taurus, entering his own sign, Gemini, on July 7th. For a rapid transit that puts him in the lap of the Sun once he arrives in Cancer on July 25th. This Mercury transit through Gemini is an opportunity. In the bigger picture, we have just watched all of the inner planets move past Rahu. This procession began on February 21st and could have triggered a shuffle that may feel as if it is settling into place after the first week in July. With Mercury powerfully but briefly placed in Gemini, we can reestablish connections, organize our business and finances, prepare for educational advances, put new communication systems into place, and catch up on errands and lingering tasks. Mercury, having moved past Rahu, implies that for a period of time, we will be moving into a more balanced arrangement between the nodal axis, the inner planets, and the outer planets. For the next few years, Saturn and Jupiter will remain in relative proximity, which will be giving weight to the signs of Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Retrograde Rahu will add weight to that zone, reaching Pisces by late 2023. For now, we will see the inner planets, Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, creating some balance with the nodal axis and with the outer planets, as they move through the signs of Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. When Venus reaches Scorpio in October of 2021, we may again feel the tides changing as the inner planets proceed past Ketu, bringing another eclipse cycle in November of 2021. After what could have been a chaotic or disorganized period that brought us through the spring months, Mercury in Gemini is primed to quickly analyze what we have to work with and get the ball rolling in the right direction. New Moon in Gemini, Punarvasu, July 9th. Rolling into Gemini right after Mercury, the Moon closes in on the Sun at 24 degrees Gemini, for the monthly meeting known as the new moon. Mercury joins the pair from a distance, but strongly influences the Sun-Moon pairing, as he is also the ruler of Gemini. While we can feel physically low during the days leading up to the new moon, inviting us to rest and refresh, the presence of Mercury in this new moon could up the energy level and at least give the idea that we can press on in any case. Gemini is an air sign, along with Libra and Aquarius. Because of Jupiter's occupation of Aquarius until September 20th, all of the air signs are receiving the aspect of Jupiter, which is generally seen as positive and buoyant. This could be modified or muddled during this time due to Jupiter's retrograde status, but even though it may be difficult to reach, it is still worth digging for gold, especially in the vein of knowledge or wisdom. Jupiter's influence is to expand or grow. Retrograde Jupiter could be demonstrating that bigger may not always be better, especially when starting new seeds. A sprout may need only a cup to get started. Don't delay the sprouting because the orchard has not yet appeared, where the sprout will be established as it grows. While Mercury rules Gemini, The nakshatra of Punarvasu, which spans between 20 degrees Gemini and 3 degrees 20 minutes Cancer, is ruled by the planet Jupiter and is also the domain of Aditi, a form of the mother goddess. Punarvasu holds the energy of creativity and righteous behavior. This is a good time to conceive of new forms that will survive in recently changed environments. The Sun transits Cancer July 16th to August 16th. About 1 week after the Sun and Moon join in late Gemini, the Sun moves into the Moon sign of Cancer, joining the pairing of Venus and Mars, who have been swimming through Cancer since early to mid-June. The Sun's entrance to Cancer triggers Venus's exit to Leo later that day, followed by Mars on July 20th. Saturn in Capricorn is strongly placed in his own sign, but retrograde and influencing the sign of Cancer with what we could perceive as variable pressure. The Sun is strong in Cancer, but not as strong as Saturn in Capricorn. Each year, the Sun will spend 1 month in opposition to Saturn and 1 month conjoined with Saturn. Either of these two states generally causes some friction, as these two planets are considered to have enemy status with one another. What is interesting is that there will have been a strong influence in the Capricorn-Cancer axis due to Saturn's placement in Capricorn and the Venus-Mars conjunction in Cancer, opposing Saturn. This signature, which prevailed from June 22nd, when Venus entered Cancer, could have been quite productive and set off a stream of passionate creativity. When the Sun replaces Venus and Mars in Cancer, we may feel a bit of tension in the realm of collective practicality versus sovereign creative impulse. Mid-July through mid-August may be a bit bumpy as we are faced with negotiations about how we can create situations that support our growth without depleting resources or disturbing collective structures. It may be a challenge to relate to the needs of others because the desire to push a personal agenda will be strong. Venus transits Leo, July 16th through August 10th. Venus has been steadily gaining ground on Mars and will catch up to him at 26 degrees Cancer on July 13th. This exact conjunction may feel like a culmination of a pursuit that began sometime back in early June. As noted above, the sign of Cancer is currently under the hard gaze of Saturn. Certainly a bit more comfortable for Venus, who, as the ruler of the water element, does well in Cancer, and as a friend of Saturn, doesn't mind the pressure. Venus shows our tendencies to connect with other beings and the home on which we survive and thrive. Relations, social connections, politics, entertainment, clean food and water, comfortable homes and beauty all fall under Venus's domain. In Cancer from June 22nd through July 16th, Venus may have helped us to conceive and create new visions and plans. When Venus moves to Leo on July 16th, ahead of Mars, we will have a few weeks to put our designs into the creation and building phase. Rather than the aspect of Saturn, Leo is receiving the aspect of Jupiter. Both of these outer planets are strong and a bit unpredictable at the moment due to retrograde motion. Given this, it may be wise to expect surprises as our creative process seeks growth and form. Jupiter's aspect onto Leo should bring small growth spurts through September 20th, when his retrograde motion takes him back to Capricorn. As we build our new palaces, the great guru reminds us that even mistakes and mishaps are part of the divine creative matrix. We may find opportunities to innovate and solve problems that actually lead to the creation of new paradigms that were recently unimaginable. look for Venus and Mars in the western sky after sunset on July 13th, when they will appear together at their closest before Venus moves past Mars. Mars transits Leo July 20th through September 5th. After being engaged with the lovely and watery Venus in Cancer, fiery Mars follows her into fiery Leo, an environment more conducive to Mars's decisive action and keen strategies. Use this strength and focus to identify and repair the weak spots in the innovative channels. After encountering Venus and then moving after her into Leo on July 20th, Mars's slower pace puts him into a comfortable stance in the Sun's sign, where he remains until September 5th. While this does bring fire danger to our attention with a fiery planet in a fiery sign, at least Jupiter is aspecting from Aquarius. Even a retrograde Jupiter has the ability to guide the powerful Mars. At least the nodal axis is staying out of these interactions for the time being, giving us a chance to find stability and balance within a new context. Mars stays in Leo for about 6 weeks and will be joined there by the Sun from mid-August. This is a good transit for delving into the themes of power, strength, individuality, sovereignty, ego, and self-interest. Part of the human experience involves establishing the individual self so that it can be a participant in the collective. When the self gets too overblown or underfed, an imbalance occurs that makes the sense of self a liability rather than an asset. Know thyself. Full moon in Capricorn, Uttarashada, July 23rd. The moon waxes after the new moon of July 9th, moving past the inner planets and then past Ketu on July 19th and 20th. By July 23rd, the moon moves into opposition with the sun at 8 degrees Capricorn in the last pada of Uttarashada for the full moon of July, on which we celebrate the wisdom of our teachers, Guru Purnima. During this full moon, most of the planets are placed in either the signs of the luminaries, the sun and the moon, who rule Leo and Cancer, or the signs of Saturn, which are Capricorn and Aquarius. The contrast between light and dark, sweetness and bitterness, righteousness and corruption, should be quite evident as the full moon bounces the light of the sun into the earth sign of Saturn, who is strongly placed there and in retrograde motion. The thing about light is that it can reveal the cracks and dust that many would rather stay hidden. It is easy to ignore problems when they aren't seen. This is a great time for everyone to put their cards on the table and make an honest effort to work with the materials on hand. The moon is full in Uttarashada Nakshatra, whose planetary lord is the sun. The sun, from the sign of Cancer and Pushya Nakshatra, which is ruled by Saturn, is shining light toward the moon and Saturn himself. With Saturn in retrograde motion, this could be a great time to confess or address difficult things that have been causing guilt or shame. Only when we face difficulty can we manage it. Mercury transits Cancer from July 25th through August 8th. Mercury continues to pedal furiously on into Cancer on July 25th, joining and passing the Sun as he moves through his opposition with Saturn. Mercury will conjoin the Sun exactly at 16 degrees Cancer on August 1st, and then with faster speed moves ahead of the Sun in the zodiac, joining Venus and Mars in Leo on August 8th. Mercury tends to manage well and communicate readily. Mercury's decision-making is largely based on data analysis, and this faculty helps all of us to think fluidly and adjust our course when obstacles or shortcuts arise. Mercury is comfortable in conjunction with the Sun and tends to be the least bothered planet when it comes to the state of combustion, which is caused by proximity to the Sun, which drowns out the expression of the combust planet. Flexible and adaptable, Mercury can make it work almost anywhere, but the sign of Cancer is challenging to Mercury, whose quickness and agility do not help much when it comes to the emotional, watery, and sensitive environment of the moon. Nonetheless, resourceful Mercury could be helpful during the Sun-Saturn face-off, which is exact on August 1st. With two distinct conversations going on during the last half of July, we may need a multitasking manager like Mercury to track all that is going on. Retrograde Saturn in Capricorn, opposing the Sun in Cancer, will bring themes of individuality versus collective needs. Saturn demands that responsibility be taken for actions that affect the collective, while the Sun demonstrates the importance of individual desires, despite the repercussions on the rest of the world. This is an important conversation, and Mercury could be instrumental in finding common ground. Retrograde Jupiter in Aquarius, opposing Venus and Mars in Leo, is another strong current for this time, bringing forth themes of leveraging individual power and productivity in order to boost growth and positive action for the collective. With a pair of oppositions coloring the astrological weather from mid-July to mid-August, the underlying implication is also that of bringing balance to relationships and partnerships. We have all come to the negotiating table and are tasked with fulfilling individual desires and purposes, while at the same time being a responsible partner, friend, and member of society.